This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
Welcome to the Hockeytown West Podcast, your source for everything Toledo Walleye and Grand Rapids Griffins hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis. And we are very pleased to welcome another Toledo hockey legend. Before his Toledo career, he played just down I-75 at BGSU, where he played 4 seasons, was a part of a national championship team as a freshman. He would go on to be drafted in the 7th round, 129th overall of the 1983 NHL entry draft by the Winnipeg Jets, where he spent parts of 4 seasons and would be a part of the 1988 NHL All-Rookie team. And then he ended up coming back to Toledo area. He joined the Toledo Storm, who would play 3 seasons, capturing 2 Riley Cup championships, and would later be inducted into the Toledo Hockey Hall of Fame. Thanks for joining the Hockeytown West Podcast, Iain Duncan.
Hey, boys. Thanks for having me on.
It's exciting. Fresh off the Stanley Cup last night. Did you get to watch any of it?
Yeah, I would say something indecent, but yes, I did. Yes. I'm like Paul Maurice with the I like using the F-bombs here and there, but it was a great series, longest season I think to date. For how many days in the season? I think there was 265 days or 290, somewhere around there, they said, from the season started to the last game. So pretty exciting. Stanley Cup playoffs, I was in it twice and lost to the team called the Edmonton Oilers twice with a guy named Gretzky on it. So I know the passion and I know what it takes to get to where I didn't make it to the finals, but the Stanley Cup second round was my furthest that I made it with the Winnipeg Jets. But we did have Edmonton down 3-2 in games, and we ended up losing the series. So, Stanley Cup hockey, there's nothing better.
Were you happy with the outcome, or were you rooting for somebody in particular, or no?
I'm Canadian, so I'm an American citizen, but I'm born in Toronto. So, I had a little, just because of 93 being the last year that it was won in Canada. And I know how passionate Canadians are. And I'm one of those stupid Canadians that's very passionate about the sport. I wish Edmonton, but I could see I'm very happy for Florida also being 30 years deep and winning their first championship. And they've been close before. Last year was a great series, but they were really beat up. And this season, this series, this playoff series for them, they were much deeper, but they were also much healthier. So when you can throw guys in and out of the lineup like they could on the 4th line, 3rd line of Boso, all those guys with 15, 14, 13 years behind them, and Cousins, all that, that's a strong team. And they had a little bit of a hiccup, or 3 of them, but you can't take anything away from Edmonton. Connor McDavid, everybody can say he's probably the best player in the world, and but momentum is a big thing, and I hear a lot of people say that momentum it's not a thing, and I'll punch you in the face and tell you you're wrong, because momentum is something. And once you gain momentum and that snowball is rolling downhill, it's like our Toledo Storm days. We had any way you wanted to play, we could play it. If you wanted to muck it up, we'll muck it up. If you want to skate, we'll skate. If you want to shoot out, we'll beat you in the shootout, or we'll beat you in all three aspects of the game. We'll beat the shit out of you. We'll outskate you, and we'll outscore you. So it was a great series. What else can you say? The only thing I was looking forward to, guys, is overtime.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
Every kid in the driveway, right? Every kid in the driveway. It's Game 7, triple overtime, It's like Paul Maurice said, it's not game 4. It's always game 7.
No, it's exactly that. It's, you guys are all hockey fans. I don't have to tell you, it's the greatest sport in the world for a reason. And winning the Stanley Cup is the hardest cup to win. It's just what you have to go through. What I like to hear now is what the injuries are that are going to start coming out in the next day or two. And you find out that, such and such had this and such had that. And you play through it, man. I know the Riley Cup, the first one, I had my wrist reconstructed less than 10 days after we won it. I tore it in December, and I had to play with it for the rest of the year and got it shot up and got it taped up and looked like I was wearing one of those bowling things, wrist things. When I was away from the rink, all the boys used to give me shit about it. Like, yeah, we going bowling? I'm like, yeah, whatever. So it's part of the game. And it's just, the Stanley Cup, it's just a long season, such a long season, and just happy for everybody. And, I want the parade to be safe and everybody to have fun and all that good stuff. But I'll stop rambling. Go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, you're good.
It's good.
I think Matthew Tkachuk's on pace to challenge Ovechkin for the summer of fun, but yeah.
I would do the same. If I had that choice, I would. I'd be front and center with that thing too. I would. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. It's a lifelong dream. I can't even imagine. I was just explaining to the person I was watching the game with last night, and she's a hockey fan, but I was just explaining, the Stanley Cup and the background, and even with the Toledo Storm winning the Riley Cup, that's just as important. Like I said in my Hall of Fame speech, winning those 2 Riley Cups in Toledo meant just as much as me making the NHL, let's say, kind of thing, making the NHL. Because of the team that we had, and I mean everybody from the front office to the ownership, to the training staff, to, everybody, the people that took care of us in the booster club. It goes a long way. And that's why still to this day, I mean, it's for a different reason. Toledo is a special place to play. Now it's because of the rink and the way they get treated. Before, it was because of the talent that we had, not because of the sports dump. It wasn't that at all. But we got treated really well by Barry Soskin. And that's one of the reasons Toledo still to this day is a special place to play. And I've said it many times, and I'll say it till I'm 6 feet under. Wood County and Lucas County is a great place for sports. It's a great place for hockey. And I think it's a great place for families and hockey to kind of commingle. I went to about 15 walleye games this year. And, it's just the atmosphere. I explain people that go to games in Toronto. I said, you got to come to a game in Toledo and check it out. And they've been to many NHL games, and they come into Toledo and they're like, this is crazy. This is just nutty. And I'm like, yeah, I tried to explain it to you. I had some guys come down from Toronto for the Hall of Fame that I played junior with, and they were just shaking their head, just going, this happens every night. And I'm like, yeah, 99% of the time. It's a good product, and they do a great job of entertaining the fans. And you also have to give back as a hockey player. You have to give back to the community. And, I drive over to Cleveland. I drive over to Sylvania every Wednesday, and I teach over there with Derek Booth and Brandon Hawkins right now. So tomorrow morning I'll be hitting the highway at 9 a.m. to jump on the ice with them at 11 at Tamo. And then I get back here and get on with my team at 5:50 to 6:50 on the ice. But that area of Toledo and Wood County, Bowling Green, it's a special place, and it's always going to be a special place for me. Sure, being in both Hall of Fames helps, and bringing 3 championships to that area. But it's just a special place in general. It's not just because of the championships. It's just the area and the people, the Midwestern people. That's what I love about Ohio, and that's why I've basically lived in Ohio for probably 30 something years, other than the 6 to 8 years I lived in Nashville.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah. So speaking of Bowling Green, what led you to that route of like playing college hockey?
Well, the funny thing is my older brother, Scott, 5 years older. He was a hockey player growing up in Toronto, as we all are. And I wanted to be like my big brother. I wanted to hang with my big brother. So whatever he was doing, I was doing. So when he was out playing ball hockey, I was out playing ball hockey with him and his buddies, getting the crap beat out of me for 15 years from them. Basically, when he went on, he played hockey at the University of Notre Dame. He was a big defenseman, a big, slow defenseman, I like to say. 6'3", 235. Had hands like a big bear. He gives you a big swat to the ear hole and knocks you 6 feet one way or the other. He was drafted by the Islanders, never turned pro. It was right when the Islanders were winning all their Stanley Cups. And so they didn't need a big, slow defenseman, as I like to say. And he went right into business after graduating from there. So when my junior year, his junior year, I went to grade 13 in Canada. We had grade 13 at that time. So it's basically your first year of university, 13th grade. But I tore my knee up grade 12. But so I took an extra year. But so my grade 10 or 11 up in Canada would have been 11th. I came down to Notre Dame and practiced with the team. My brother got it okayed by the team that if I came down, I could bring my gear. And I got to skate with the team. And I skated with the team for 2 years in a row. I did it the next year, too, for Christmas break. And when I saw the fun they were having on and off the ice, I'm like, I got to pull my grades up. So it was just that I saw the hockey was great. I went on a road trip. I sat, I was even on the bench during the game working the defensive door at 17, 16 years old up at Western Michigan and for Notre Dame. And I was in awe, walking around Notre Dame campus, just looking at the buildings and the football stadium. And the hockey program wasn't as strong as it is now. It was, lower, not lower tier, but it was just, maybe a third or fourth sport at Notre Dame. But I just fell in love with college hockey. And so when my first year, grade 12, I only had like a couple financial aid offers from Brown, Yale, Harvard, and Miami of Ohio was the first school other than the Ivy League was recruiting me. And then because of my knee surgery, that's why I felt that I wasn't getting too many offers. I wasn't really sure. But then I got drafted in, then the next year I played junior A up in Aurelia, Ontario, and had a pretty good season. And then the offers just started flowing in. They really did. Michigan State was at my house every other week, showing me a video and, showing me all the highlights from the weekend. Bowling Green was right there. Miami of Ohio was still there. Colorado, Wisconsin, UIC, Miami of Ohio, that was out low alcohol beer, 2.3 out the door. But I had played against a couple guys on the team, Gino Cavallini and Jamie Wansborough. In Toronto, the years before, Gino and I used to run each other, and he would usually win most of those just because he outweighed me by about 70 pounds. But Gino and I, we had good battles. I used to run over Jamie Wansborough all the time and then have to watch my head because Gino would be chasing me. So it was nice not having Gino chase you around the rink. So he was on my team now. But I just fell in love with, I wanted to go somewhere that was close to home. My parents probably made 80% of my brother's games at Notre Dame just because it's only about a 6-hour drive from Toronto. So I wanted somewhere that my parents could make the games. I know how important it was to them. And so Bowling Green came a knocking, and when I came down to Bowling Green on my recruiting trip, Wisconsin was in town, and I had a blast. Just loved it. The crowd was crazy. It was so loud in there. Even though Bowling Green lost, I had a great recruiting trip, and it just came down to Michigan State and Bowling Green.
Wow.
And I wanted to go somewhere where hockey was number one. And I felt that hockey was number 3 at Michigan State behind football and basketball. Yeah. And at Bowling Green, I feel that hockey's number 1. And it always has been. When you say something about Bowling Green, like you're in Florida on spring break, somebody goes, "Oh, you got a good football team." It's always hockey. So I just wanted to, when I made my decision, I was ready to rock and roll. I knew the team was good. I didn't know all the hiccups and stuff that went on with the NCAA the year before. But coming into that year, I knew we were going to have a strong team. And then I just kind of rode the wave and jumped on board with everybody. And luckily enough, when you work hard, things go your way. And things went our way, and we brought a national championship to Bowling Green.
That's awesome. I have a friend of the show, and he gave me this question for you. And you might be able to pick up on this, on who asked this, but he wanted to know who was the toughest player at Bowling Green.
Toughest?
Yeah.
I don't know. Toughest player ever?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Dang. I don't know. I would have to say, there's a lot of them though, man.
He gave me 2 options. He said he wanted me to ask if it was you or Truck.
Me or Truck. That's awesome. You know what? I was going to say George McPhee because he beat the shit out of both of us. But no, Truck. It was great playing with Truck. I see Truck at a rink once in a while here and there, and it's always fun when we see each other in the parking lot and give each other bear hugs, and we fucking fist pump and then run each other, and it's just the good old days. It's I took pride, and I think Truck did too. He got me in a few penalty minutes, the son of a bitch. I think I'm second still in penalty minutes. But it's a passion. It's a passion on both sides of the puck. I'd rather run over you a couple times and score a goal, to tell you the truth. Because I think running over somebody and it's not about being tough, and it's not about being the macho guy. It's about intimidation on the ice, and intimidation goes a long way. People ask me if I fought Probert. I said, I'm not that fucking stupid. No way. I like my life. I like beer. I like air. I want to breathe. No, I would never even think of fighting Probert. But yeah, me and Truck, I don't know. That would be a good one. I think I got more points than him. So we'll say high on the toughness, but I got him on the points. So let's put it that way.
Fair enough.
Oh, That's good. That's good. Good old Matt Rucky, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Griffin's legend up here. We were talking about him earlier, and I was just like, man, those were the good old days. I remember when that team formed up here, and he was out there throwing them and scoring them. It was a good time.
Yeah. It's it was a pleasure playing with them. I think we had 2 years together. Yeah, we had 2 years together, my junior and senior year. So it's an adventure with Truck, though. It's like, herding cats some days with him. But once he gets his thought process straight and his eye on the prize, it's all good.
I think that phrase has been used twice on this podcast in the last month. One from Hawkins and now one from you.
Oh, yeah? What did Hawk have to say?
It was about herding cats was it with McCourt?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Hawk and I are good friends. It's pretty funny. No, that's cool. Sometimes you say that about players and it's true,
It's hilarious.
Oh, so you mentioned earlier, obviously, you guys won a national championship at Bowling Green in your freshman year. What was that like?
Wow. It was it's a good question. I mean, it was hard. I think I was the only 19-year-old as a freshman. I think all the other guys were 18 still, so I had to go drinking with the upperclassmen all the time. They came and ripped me out of my dorm in Harshman and said, "You're coming with us." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But getting to know that team off the ice, as well as on the ice, and I can say it almost the same as the Storm team's championship. We spent more time away from the rink together than we did at the rink. And you do the math. Even in Canadian math, you're at the rink 2 to 3, 4 hours a day together, lifting, video, skating, doing whatever, training, getting whatever done. And we spent that away from the rink too, 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, I was in the bar, but we bonded that way. And it wasn't about, getting shit-faced every night. It was about hanging out and being there with your buddy. And if an altercation did happen, we know you got 16 to 18 guys right there ready to battle. And it did happen one time at Marks, not the national championship year, but a couple of years later. One guy got picked on at the front of the Marks, and there was 12 of us in the back of the bar, and the idiots that picked on the one guy, there was 6 or 8 of them were picking on him up front. And there was like the bat signal came out, and there was 12 of us on top of these 8 guys, and they asked the police what gang was that. Yeah, the gang.
Oh man.
So, but no, that national championship year, man, I don't know. It was special for me. Being thrown into that lineup. I think, I think I was the only freshman forward that year, and I was in the lineup every game. And just the intensity of college hockey and just the camaraderie of that team and the leadership we had from Pickle and Wilson, and the coaching staff. I mean, you can't say enough about JY, and Budman and, Terry and Pete Johnson, the graduate assistant, all the way down to Woody, to, Jonesy, AKA Dink, as our training staff, Lumpy, who was an assistant training staff guy that I ended up living with like 2 years later. But just from head to toe, everybody just was passionate, and everybody worked their tail off, man. I had never worked so hard in my life, and I hang my hat on working hard, because I wasn't very talented growing up. My talent kind of caught up to me when I was like 15, and Everything just started. My work ethic stayed where it was. And then my offensive part of the game took over. I already had the defensive side of it down pat. I knew how to hit. I knew how to pass. I knew how to play defense. I knew how to block shots. I knew how to, knock your teeth in because of my brother doing that to me and all his buddies doing it to me. But just everything about that team, man. It was kind of not scripted the easy way. We didn't do it the easy way. That's for sure. Having to go into BU and beat them twice, or beat them total goals. But going there on the road of, after losing in double overtime, I think it was to Michigan State. I'm not sure. At CCHA championship at Joe Louis, or single overtime or Western Michigan. I'm not sure. One was senior year, one was freshman year, Western Michigan or Michigan State. But that team alone, just the guys that led, like I said, Pickle and Wilson. And then, you throw in Cavallini, Kane, Alec, Galley. You can go on. And I was just a little itty bitty piece of it. And I'm just glad I was part of the team and that I was recruited to Bowling Green State University.
Yeah, it's cool to see that they're starting to put some money back into that building now too, making it a full bowl. I know I got to experience it a couple times, but I know I generally try to go to when they play Ohio State because it's the two state schools playing each other. I know Brandon, Nick, you're the Michigan guys, and I don't care for Ohio State either, but it's just in a great atmosphere, and it's good to see they're starting to put that money into the program to kind of give it that next jolt.
Did you go to last year's game?
I didn't go last year.
I was there. It was crazy, man. It was whack. It was so loud in there. I was just loving the guy that was playing the national anthem was on a saxophone, and it was the coolest thing, just rocking the building. And then the money, like you said, and with Willie coming on board, I think it's a great hire. The 5.7 million or 5.2 they're putting into the rink, and the bowl and some and the entrance and the new everything lobby. It's so needed, and I can't thank Mr. Slater enough. Scott Slater is incredible person, incredible man. Known him since 1983. And just the money and the effort that he puts back into the program, and also supports the Toledo Walleye big time. Just a great person for the program itself.
Yeah, so your BG career ends, and then you end up getting drafted. What was that phone call like? Or did you get a phone call? Like, how did you find out?
Well, I got drafted before I went to Bowling Green.
Okay.
So I made my decision to go to Bowling Green in February of '83. And so I accepted my scholarship, and then I'm playing hockey. I had no idea. I never got drafted in midget. I never got drafted in junior. So I'm like, why would I ever get drafted in the NHL? I haven't got drafted before, so I didn't really pay attention to it till the Sunday after the draft. I was back home in Toronto, and I got a phone call. As we all know, the old phone was in the kitchen on the wall. So my mom came in my room and Sunday morning at like 9:30, and she's like, "Wake up." I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "You got a phone call." I'm like, who the hell is it on a Sunday morning, And she's like, "It's Tom whatever from the paper in Aurelia." I'm like, "What the fuck does he want?" He's like, he wants to talk to you. And I said, "All right." So I get on the phone. I said, "Tom, what's up?" I said, "I'm hungover, man. We were out till fucking 4:00. What do you want?" And he's like, "Congratulations." I'm like, "What? For what? Not getting arrested last night? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, you got drafted." I go, "Get out of here, Tom. You're full of shit. There's no way I got drafted." And he's like, "Yeah, you got drafted 7th round." I'm like, "To who?" "Okay, tell me." And he says, "Winnipeg." I said, "I said, are you are you fucking with me? And he's like, no, I'm not. And so he goes, no, I'll, whatever. And I don't know how I checked it, but I got a phone call like a couple hours later from the Winnipeg Jets saying, welcome to the team, we'll be in touch. And, basically it was kind of twofold. Winnipeg, I feel Winnipeg drafted me because I was going to Bowling Green. Bowling Green, because when an NHL team drafts you and you go to college, they've got 4 years to sign you.
Yeah.
If I go to junior, they only got 1. So they knew I was going to Bowling Green already with Jerry York and Buddy Powers and Terry Flanagan, and with the team that we had, and me going in there at 179 pounds, soaking wet, 5.2 body fat, and leaving at 208 pounds and putting on 2.5 ounces of fat. So I left at like 7.9 body fat and 208 pounds. So they knew that I was going to go there and put on some meat and put on some, get faster and learn the game a little bit more. And that's how that happened. So I really feel that, that's one of the reasons I feel Jerry York been my best coach ever, even in the NHL. But just it's kind of twofold. They worked. I think they worked hand in hand for me to get drafted.
Do you know the beautiful thing about being a sports fan? There's only like 2 days the whole year without a game. 2, with so much happening and so much action, that makes just about every day game day at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It really couldn't be any easier, any simpler. Currently, the Detroit Red Wings are a plus 4,000 to win the Stanley Cup for next year. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help available for problem gambling, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It just isn't for those who have experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched up with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of it seems like we're seeing a lot more people being drafted and going into college, going that route, and then, coming into the league. What was your first NHL game like? Like, do you remember what was the game?
Oh,
walk us through that.
Yeah. Well,
That's something you never forget.
Oh no, you can't forget that. It's like your first girlfriend, right?
Just kidding.
Or boyfriend. So we lost to Harvard senior year, right? We lost to Harvard Saturday night in the NCAAs. Total two game total goals. So we lost to them. We flew back to Bowling Green Sunday. I flew to Winnipeg Monday. I practiced with the team on Tuesday, and I played my first game on Wednesday against Calgary. And I scored my first game. Very important goal. We won 9-3, and I got the 9th. Just in case they converted that touchdown.
Yeah.
We missed the extra point. But yeah, I scored on my backhand. Just took a pass off that, and I got it from Dave Ellett, which was funny. He put a pass down off the half boards from the point, and a little bump pass to me coming out of the corner. And my soccer background, I was very competitive soccer. I played semi-pro soccer in high school.
Oh, wow.
But my thought process, even in hockey growing up, is always look to somebody who's in a better scoring position than me. Always. I got in trouble for not shooting enough when I was younger, and because it's my soccer background, I think. But so I saw that everybody was covered. Dave was covered. Other defensemen's covered. My centerman's covered. My winger's covered. So I'm like, well, might as well take it to the net. So I took it to the net, threw it to my backhand, and slammed her home 5-hole on Reggie Lemelin. Yeah. And then jumped on a plane right after the game and flew to Calgary. Jumped on a plane, and before you sat down, you had a cold Molson in your hand. So I'm like, I'm going to like this. I got a cold beer in my hand. I got steak coming, and I just played a hockey game. And then we went to Calgary and lost 3-2 the next night. Yeah, so that was my first game in the NHL.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Did they was the whiteout still a thing? Was that a thing back then in the playoffs? Like, what was that like if that was a...
We started it. I was there for the first one.
Oh, that's got to be crazy.
That was that first year, yeah. It was whack. It was crazy, dude. We I lived with Dave Ellett, so we lived together, and a local Chevy dealership gave us this white Corvette because of the whiteout, right? So we would hammer this thing outside of town and get it up to about 160 miles an hour and leave a couple times a week. Yeah, they said, just keep it. Just give it back at the end of the playoffs. And we're like, okay, that's not a good idea for you to give us a Corvette.
In what condition?
Oh, yeah. We were lucky. Dave Ellett and I were just talking about that at the anniversary of the national championship at BG there in February. And we were just shaking our head about the Corvette. And he's like, yeah, that wasn't a very good idea by them giving us a Corvette. We're lucky we didn't kill ourselves.
You just see it on TV. It's I couldn't imagine.
It's just, well, that's back then too, when the home team wears white, right? So
which needs to be that way. Exactly.
So that's the whole thing was like, the whiteout, good guys wear white was also the big theme that they used all the time. But yeah, the whiteout, I had never seen anything like that before. And I've been, even at Bowling Green watching, Wisconsin come in there and beat them, and the place was loud as can be. But going up and seeing that whiteout and being part of it, and I've been on the ice in old Chicago Stadium when that organ's just clanking and the national anthems going, and you're standing on the blue line and the whole arena's shaking. The whiteout was pretty cool too. It was pretty cool atmosphere for sure. Winnipeg's a good place to play hockey. It's I don't know, not a shithole, but it's kind of gets a bad rap like Toledo. Toledo gets a bad rap, and Winnipeg gets a bad rap. Yeah, it's cold. Oof. It's cold. Like average temperature with the wind chills -40. So you got to watch where you park your car, how you park your car. You don't park the front of your car into the wind. You got to have a block heater on your car. I had an automatic start on my car, and it had a sensor that when it got to a certain temperature, -20, it would start up by itself and run for 15, 19 minutes or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You leave your car running when you go in a restaurant. You bring 2 sets of keys. Yeah.
I'll note that for when me and my wife go to Winnipeg, not to do it in the middle of the year.
Oh man, you'll get frostbite in a heartbeat if you don't take care of it, and if you're exposed to it for too long. That wind chill is nasty.
Oh, no thanks. But we'll fast forward here to Toledo now.
Yeah.
What led you coming to play in Toledo?
Well, again, make a long story longer. After I signed, I ended up signing, playing in Winnipeg. I signed a 5-year contract, ended up being a 4-year. So I signed with the Kings. I signed with the LA Kings on a 1-year deal, free agent. And technically, I was supposed to be Gretzky's left winger because of my games against Edmonton, the 3 or the 4 previous years. I lit Edmonton up pretty good, goals wise, assists wise. I had multiple 2-goal games against Fear. My only hat trick in the NHL was against Fear. I had 3 and 2 that night. And we beat them 8-5. My other line mate, Andrew McBain, had 3 and 1 that night. And Dale Howardchuk had 5 assists, I think he did. So, and the funny thing is my right winger was pissed that I got first start. I'm like, dude, I had 3 goals and 2 assists. You had 3 goals and 1 assist. Who do you think's going to get first start? Yeah, he's still pissed to this day. Yeah, Andrew McBain. But no, it's yeah. Where was I going? I'm sorry. What was the question?
How'd you get to Toledo?
Yeah.
Oh, Toledo. Yeah. So I signed with the Kings, and I tore the muscles off my spine the 3rd week of training camp. And so I came back after having an MRI out in LA. I came back to Cleveland, and I rehabbed at the Cleveland Back and Spine Institute because I was dating a girl that I met at Bowling Green, but was living in Westlake. So I came and hung out in Cleveland for 3 months. And then when I got the okay to start skating, I called up Chris McSorley in Toledo because I knew Chris from Marty. And I called Chris and said, hey, Chris, because, Marty was on the Kings at the time. And so I said, Marty said to reach out to you to see if I can come and skate with you. I just got okayed by the doctor to start skating again. And he said, yeah, come on over, man. Anytime you tell me when, you can come practice with us. And I said, okay. So I started practicing with them for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I went to Phoenix. I flew to Phoenix, and I was going through my rehab there. And then I was on my way back to LA, and I tore my knee up the night before I was going back to LA to meet up with Gretzky and the boys. So they didn't resign me. So that summer, McSorley called me and said, Dunk, what's going on with your contract situation? I see that you didn't resign with LA. Detroit's interested. And I said, well, what's going on? He's like, well, would you think of playing in Toledo? And I'm like, I would think about it if the money's right, but let's talk. So we spoke for a couple weeks at most, at best, and we got it done pretty quick. And then, Chris just asked me, I want you to be a leader here. I want you to do your thing. I want you to be you. I want you to do everything that you've done on and off the ice for the last, 7, 8, 10 years, 8 years, 7 years of your pro career. And I said, not a problem, man. I love this area. Let's get her done. And so that's how it all happened. I think it happened because I reached out to Chris to see if I could skate to go back to LA or to Phoenix at the time, the farm team of LA. And I got comfortable, with Chris and meeting some of the boys on the team, and the money was, close enough, and I didn't have to beat the shit out of my body anymore. With different surgeries here and there, knee surgeries, shoulder surgeries. I wanted to enjoy the game a little bit, and the money was right, and had a really good time.
It's awesome.
So you come here to Toledo and you win back-to-back Riley Cups. Like, what was that like? The city. I mean, me and Brandon have gone down to Toledo the last 2 seasons, and it's crazy there. And we're this close. I feel like the last 2 years. winning the cup. So we want to be able to feel that. Like, what is that? What was that like for you when you were there as a player?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, just again, we lost the first 2 games of the championship. We went down 0-2 to Wheeling, and then we won 4 straight. Winning the 4th one in double overtime. We didn't want to go back to Wheeling, that was for sure. For game 7, yeah, we didn't want to go back there. We did not want to go back to Wheeling. It was again, it was like the national championship. It's just a bunch of guys that, we spent so much time off the ice together. And again, it was in the saloon, but we also, just the camaraderie that you build in the minor leagues because of all the time that you spend together on the buses and in the hotels and, doing nothing or community events, whatever it might be, living together. You're together a lot. So it was just, again, Toledo's a blue collar town in the way that we won it and the way that we played hockey. We were all sweating. We could do whatever you wanted to do. And that was the team that, I have a lot of passion for still. Those 2 years, the thing that pisses me off the most is that we didn't win it 3 in a row.
Us too.
I feel,
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that even that 3rd year team was just as strong, and nothing against Greg Pahalski, but with McSorley not there, I think it affected the team a little bit more, the younger guys, so to speak, than the older guys, but we just didn't get the job done. And, I think we lost in the 2nd round.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, to look back at those 2 championship years, one year the cup went to the bar with you guys.
Oh, it went there. I slept with it the first night.
So because I've heard a lot of stories about it because I live in the Toledo area.
Yeah.
What bar did it go to, and whose idea was it?
Well, our hangout was the Consol Tavern, right beside Tony Paco's on the east side, the original Tony Paco's.
Yeah, I know that area.
Yeah, Consol Tavern was it was a race to get there after practice kind of thing. Whoever got there first kind of thing. But no, we took it to the Consol because that's where we hung out 24/7. And then Jablonski put a ceiling fan through it. He raised it over his head in the bar and forgot there was a ceiling fan above him. And so it had a nice 6 to 8, I'd say about 4-inch gash in it, in a sterling silver cup. So I had to go get it fixed before it went on TV the next morning, like at 11 a.m. And I threatened the silversmith, I think that's what you called him. I said, I gave him like $200 cash. And I said, if you tell anybody about this, I'm going to come back here and we're going to have a problem. So, he fixed it and like welded it or did whatever and tidied it up and dressed it up as best he could before it did go on TV that day. But the whole thing was, oh, look at the fan blade that went through the trophy last night. And I'm like, God, Jesus, McSorley, you stupid idiot. Barry had to buy a whole new cup for the league. He had to purchase a brand new one, and that's why that Riley Cup is around Toledo still somewhere, with the inside of it all signed by us and Sharpie.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
The stories you get from championship teams is just crazy.
Oh, we walked into the Paris because Muggsy, our Zamboni driver, that's where he hung out, and there was guys in there with less teeth than us, and they were so happy that they saw that cup in there, and we took it over there for a couple hours after the next day after the first championship, and they loved it. But being on the east side is a little different. But we did have a couple good parties out at Maumee Bay State Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we rented out one of the cabins and ended up having a great time, 50, 60 people out there. So you got to check out the next day at noon. On the way out to the cabin, we stopped at some bar, I don't know, out in the country out there and there was a band playing. And we were already lit up pretty good from the night before. And it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and they're playing in this bar. And we're like, hey, what are you doing later? And they're like, what? We're like, you want to come to a party? And they're like, what are you talking about? We're like, we're having a championship party at Maumee Bay State Park. We'll pay you. And they're like, how much? And I don't know. I think they wanted $250 or $300, and we threw $300 down. They said, we'll be there. So 2 hours later, they showed up and started setting up, and we partied all night till midnight, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then so the next morning, we're supposed to be out of there at 11 a.m. So we start cleaning up at like 10 a.m. It was a mess. And there had to be at least 40, 50, 60 people there. And so about half hour into cleaning up, everybody just kind of looks at each other, about 10 of us or 8 or 10 of us going, what are we doing? And they're like, yeah, what are we doing? I'm like, fuck it. Let's just rent it one more time. Oh, we rented it. We called that same band, boys, we're doing it again tonight. They came back and we did it all again.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. And then the boys are playing hacky sack with the cup down one fairway outside at the golf course at like 5 o'clock in the morning. There's 4 of them throwing the Riley Cup down the fairway. And I'm like, guys, I'm in charge of that.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Fun.
So speaking of fun, so you used to play in the sports arena. What was that like? Did you like playing there?
Yes and no. There was good things and a lot of bad things. Big time home ice advantage for a nice arena. Big time. Not only did you have to walk through the fans to get to the rink, the visiting team, it was fine for us, but, people smoked in the building. The locker rooms for the visiting team is no bigger than a men's restroom. So you're basically knocking heads with the guy across from you, tying your skates up. That's how tiny it was.
Oh.
Just the dimensions of the rink itself were tiny. Like I said, Chicago Stadium was the smallest one in the NHL, and the sports dump was smaller. I said, like in my speech, my Hall of Fame speech, that first practice that I practiced with the Storm before I played for like the year before when I was just skating, I went face first into the boards because it was so tight. I thought I had another 8-10 feet to turn. I turned and went whack and just went flat on my back. I'm like, wow, this is a tiny but it was great for the home team. But everything else other than the home ice advantage part of it and the fans being on top of you, everything else sucked. Locker room, awful. Maybe 2 shower heads worked out of 6. Every time you flushed the toilet, which didn't have a door, you had to yell fire in the hole because scalding hot water would come out of the 2 shower heads. Oh yeah, it was just everything. Just tiny. Like Rick Corvo basically was, a handshake away from the guy taking the shit with no door, just a cloth. It's like, dude, why do you pick that seat every year? Like, come on, man. I'm as far as I can away from the shitter. Yeah. So it's just the sports arena was a special place. I wish some of the amenities like they have at the Huntington Center, just, the locker room that the players have and everything from just everything. I mean, the amenities, the showers, the video, the training room, the coaching room, the video rooms that they have, all the different things that they have at the rink. It's like, I would put the Huntington Center's 100 and the sports dump is like a 2. So, yeah.
It's funny because I remember going to games as a kid. I mean, like it's towards the end of the Storm days, but like I'm sitting there and you think about it now, it's like, man, the glass going down the side of the rink was like you could reach over and grab a player. And then like the Zamboni had no hood, so you could see the snow flying into the thing. And yeah, just what I've told these guys, I was like, guys, it was a dump, but it was like our dump.
The floor, you walk out of there, you stick to the floor because of all the spilt beer. Just everything, the cigarette smoke in there, great for concerts and stuff, but for ice hockey, no, not really. But I loved it. They packed 5,000 people in there, and it was like there was 25,000 people in there. It was so damn loud. And, like you said, you could reach over and, the visiting people, the fans would pour beer down the pants of visiting players, down the back of their pants, and they have cold beer going down their butt crack at the face-off. Oh yeah, that's how short the glass was. Diesel used to do the Hail Mary. The Hail Irwin. After he scored, he'd go high five all the fans right down the whole line of the.
Yeah. He did not tell us that.
Yeah, he didn't tell us that when we had him on.
Oh, he didn't? Oh yeah, a couple times. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's cool. I remember my first youth locker room. We got the stalls and we got all the locker room stalls out of the Storm room, so that was pretty.
I remember that when I went in there and pilfered some stuff too. I got a couple chairs still in somebody's warehouse in Toledo. I think I got 3 seats from the old sports dump. Yeah.
Wish I could have experienced it just once. Once.
Yeah, you'd only want it once because you might go to the doctor after you.
Yeah. So obviously in the Toledo Hockey Hall of Fame, what was it like when you got that phone call and they said you're gonna be in that Hall of Fame for the rest of forever?
Yeah, that was another Derek Booth. They tricked me at that ALS event after I had found out. I went upstairs. Derek, we saw each other earlier in the day, and Derek said, "Oh, Jordan wants to do an interview with us about the reunion coming up in January." I said, "All right, just come and get me whenever. I'll be over here." I was volunteering, and so Derek, about an hour and a half later, texts me and goes, "Hey, Jordan wants to do it in about 15 minutes. Meet me over across the street at," I'm not even sure what the name, I'm sorry, of the place is. Was it maybe Beckett's upstairs somewhere or somewhere?
I have no idea.
Sure. So he says, "Meet me over there." And I just said, "Where's that?" And he says, "Oh, here's the address." So I walked across the street. I go upstairs and it's a whole empty, hall, and the video operator's there, the cameraman, and Jordan Strack is there, and they hook us up with the wireless mics, and so we're shooting the shit, and I'm ready to go on camera. Jordan's talking to Derek and go and say, "Okay, Derek, so I'm going to bring you guys in. I'm going to say a couple things about your reunion. Then Derek, I'm going to have you come in, and then Iain, you're going to come in second," kind of thing. So let me start. So he said to the cameraman, "Hey, Steve, are you hot? And are the mics hot?" And he goes, "Steve," and Steve gave him a thumbs up. We both our mics were hot. And so Jordan started talking. He goes, "Okay, walleye fans, welcome." And that's when Derek goes, "Hold on a sec. Jordan, hold on a sec. I've got something to say." And that's when Derek turned to me. He goes, "Just want to let you know, congratulations that you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, Toledo Hockey Hall of Fame." And I'm like, "You bastard." You can see, if you watch my video, when they bring it up, they bleep it out. It's silent for about 3 seconds. But yeah, it was great. Being in the Bowling Green Hall of Fame as a team is great. But again, getting recognized for your individual things accomplishments. But at the same time, the accomplishments of the team, and I see it more just not as an individual thing. I see it that I was a leader of great teams. And yeah, I might have scored a few more goals or maybe made a few more plays, but it's an honor to be inducted into the Hall, 100%.
Yeah, and you can tell that like this city has such a passionate fan base, and just how much they loved them years in the 90s with the Storm. And then well, I mean, you all got back together this year, and they finally gave the Walleye fans a Storm jersey after years of everybody wanting one. And just kind of like, what was that like to see everybody again and just you're all standing there probably in the Huntington Center like, man, where was this like 30 years ago?
Yeah, we were. It was a great weekend. More so than anything. My Hall of Fame thing was great, but I was almost happy that I didn't get voted in maybe the years before because of the reunion with like 23 players back from the championship teams. If I was to be voted in like last class, there wouldn't have been 23 guys from those Riley Cup days at the ceremony. There might have been maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, but having those guys back for that reunion and then also being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I haven't seen half of those guys in 28 years, 29 years. So having those guys back in town and then seeing those Storm jerseys, oh man, we're all in the runway there on the one side where the giant cowbell is. And we're just looking at them. You could just, all of us are just like drooling, just like, wow, look at those jerseys. And they had the whole kit, right? They did helmet, gloves, matching, which is cool. And all the boys, you could see it. You could see the old sports arena days. You could see their eyes, I teared up, and all the boys are like, those are tight, man. Those are the best uniforms. Just even though it's a, traditional Red Wing uniform, it is a classic uniform. And the Toledo Storm and just the colors and just that, and being in the Huntington Center and seeing it all together. Just again, it was nostalgic, and, again, being part of the Hall of Fame and, being there with all those guys, it was a classic weekend. It was, it was a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. The two things I thought of, I was like, man, this is like my childhood again. And then it's like our goalie's equipment matches finally.
All right. I've never understood that. You can't get a damn set of goalie pants in the walleye colors. No, I got to show off that I'm a Red Wing contract player. That's why I got to wear my red ones. Like, come on, dude. So I've never understood that, but I'm old school.
That's another weekend I wish I could have been down in Toledo for sure. Maybe missed the first game, but the second one for sure.
And I went the opposite way. I had to go to the first one and miss the second one.
See?
And I'm never allowed to go to games, so it's
no, you're not.
this season will be better. But
yes, it will. Well, Iain, man, that's all we have question-wise for you. We really appreciate you doing this for us. This is a fun little series we're throwing together this summer. We get Diesel on here, we get you on here, and hopefully we can get a couple more guys from the team on here as well before the summer's over. And it's just fun to talk about the old days and just give Toledo, all the respect that they deserve, because that city is just the perfect hockey city. It really is.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Anytime that you can talk hockey and get a good laugh, and the behind the scene things, there's a lot more that goes on, good and bad, It's just nice to know that, there are people, like the Toledo fans, though, and the Griffin fans, they're passionate about the sport. But I know Toledo in that Wood County, Lucas County area is very passionate about the sport of hockey. And just let's hope that the Walleye can bring one home sometime soon. And I appreciate you having me on tonight, guys. And anytime I can help out, I'd be glad to help you.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. Make sure you give Hawk some trouble on the ice tomorrow morning for us. All right.
I will.
Say it's from us too.
Well, I'm doing a skill drill last week, and he's like, "I can't believe you can still do that, old man." I'm like, "Watch yourself, little boy."
I'm loving the stories and this like the old school, because like me and Brandon were brand new to Toledo, so I mean it was all Grand Rapids and Detroit. So learning the history has been fantastic, and I'm sure our listeners are going to enjoy this as well. So I can't thank you enough for coming on and giving us all the insight. So it was good laughs as well. So it was good.
Cool, guys. You have a great summer, and hopefully we'll see you around the rinks.
And welcome back to just Nick and myself here. As you could probably tell by looking at us on video, if you're watching on YouTube, we look different because we recorded that interview a couple weeks ago. We had to sit on this one for a little while to get episode 100 out the way we did, with Dan Watson being on there, then the follow-up being, Wyatt Newpower, then Pat Mickish. We wanted to kind of break up the Storm series here, as it's not over yet. We will have some more stuff involving the Toledo Storm down the road, but shout out to Iain Duncan for taking the time out of his day to do that with us. That was a blast. It was some old school stories that were hilarious. That I think that's the most we've laughed during an interview.
Yeah, that he was super funny, and the stories, I just remember, because we did record this a few weeks ago. Like I just remember the stories that he was telling us. We're just rolling. Like there's so much good stuff coming out of that one, and I didn't really know what to expect out of him because I didn't do much research on Iain Duncan, and I didn't know who he was before. So it was good to get to know him. And yeah, it's funny that you're like, we've got some more Toledo Storm episodes coming up, because we thought maybe the book was closing, and then mid-recording for this outro, Travis texts us and says, we got 2 more coming on, or maybe a little bit more after that. So, well, thanks a lot, Travis.
Toledo insiders doing the hard work down there. He's at a Mud Hens game right now. He's not working hard.
No.
But no, we appreciate him for his help there, and appreciate the guys from the Toledo Storm and the Toledo Walleye for helping us out with this. This has been an awesome offseason for us. And for us, it's taught us so much more about the history of hockey in Toledo. Us not really knowing much about the Storm coming into what we do now. We focused on the Griffins at the beginning of this show. Then Toledo was added in just because Sebastian Kosa was playing there. Then we fell in love with that team, and we're like, yep, we got to cover that aspect of the organization too. And now look, we're talking to guys that were back-to-back Riley Cup champions with the Toledo Storm, and they're such a key part of the hockey history that makes Toledo such a great hockey city today.
Would you say you're becoming more of a fan of Ohio?
Don't. It's too close to college football season to start this with me. Don't do that.
We have learned a lot about Toledo and ourselves throughout our discovery of Toledo Walleye. So it's been good. And yeah, like I didn't even know. I mean, I'd heard of the Walleye, after being season ticket holder of Grand Rapids, only because Dan Watson was down there. But, last season was huge of learning the rich history and just how crazy the fans are down there with their bobbleheads and the Toledo Storm and like the throwback and just the history and everything, and how deserving they are of trying to get that championship. So it's to be able to get one in the Walleye will be freaking crazy, I feel.
It's going to be insane. We've heard Dan Watson even say it before. He'll be the first in line at that parade when it happens. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen. It's not an if, it's just when. And hopefully it's this coming season. The team is looking so good already on paper. And I know on the ice, it's going to look even better. There's so much leadership. The goaltending should be outstanding. Defense should be much improved. Like it's going to be a fun season, but this has been such a fun off season learning more about it, like you said. So thank you to everyone involved for helping us do this. And I'm ready for the next one, man. But I'm also ready for the next interview that will be released as a show, because it's going back to being Griffins focused for an interview. And it's one that I think is going to catch everyone off guard when they see who we're talking to. But the stories that'll come out of it will probably be the most legendary stories we've ever been able to put on the show.
I'm super excited. It's super hard to prep for this guy, but just because there's not much stats I'm finding online for him, but I'm excited for the stories that'll come out. I'm excited to get to know him a little bit better as a person. He's a Grand Rapids legend, in my eyes and based off of what I'm seeing. And so I'm super excited for that one. And I know the stories that he's going to tell us is just going to be hopefully better than Duncan's, and just give this Grand Rapids fan base some inside stories on that side too. So I'm super excited, especially when everybody sees who it is and where it's at and everything. It's going to be nuts. So
Nick, you're giving him too much, man. You're giving him too much. Just calm down there. No, it's going to be an exciting one. This is one we've kind of dropped everything to make a couple things happen with it and make it happen. So I'm really excited to show everyone what we got going here, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one. So with that though, I think we should wrap this episode up. What do you say?
Sure.
Sure. You have more to say?
No, we'll leave it. We'll leave it for Tuesday or what day? Wednesday, Thursday. We'll leave it for later.
Nick's just going through his days of the week. He's readjusting to adult life again, so it's a struggle for him.
It's been a weird week or summer.
It's been the future off but on air stories that'll come out. We'll be able to tell. I think it'll be your summer recap will be a fun one.
Oh boy, a lot of it yeah.
A lot of it he's blocked out already. No.
I'm trying.
Mostly while Travis was here.
So with that,
we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed episode 103 of the Hockeytown West podcast featuring Iain Duncan. Thank you again to him for taking that time. But of course, thank you to our sponsors as well that make all of this happen. Shout out to Everything Hockey. Make sure you have everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to save a few dollars off your order. And of course, our sponsors from the network, BetterHelp and DraftKings. Appreciate you guys and the network itself, the Hockey Podcast Network. We love you guys. Thank you for all the love and support you give us, helping us grow week over week. With that, everybody, have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon. Go Griffins. Go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.